Alright, so we're out here, just got through servicing everything. Got the grain buggy ready to go, got the combine ready to go, partially. We've got a special delivery coming this morning. Our friends over at GTS that hooked us up with the 12-row corn head that we got to demo during corn harvest. They've got a little surprise for us. Supposedly we're gonna get to enjoy for the next few days, so y'all hang tight, and our buddy Bradley will be here shortly and we'll be able to show you what we're gonna get to play with the next few days.
Just to give you an idea of how bad the dusty conditions we was operating in yesterday, there's my air filter, and I blew it out clean yesterday morning. That's just one day's worth of running. Have I mentioned how much I hate soybean dust? Just to give you an idea how much fuel we use in a day, just got done filling this up right before my tank on my service truck went dry. The tank on my service truck holds about 140 gallons, and we used almost every drop of it. And we topped off with fuel at the shop around lunchtime today. So these long days we're running anywhere from 140 to 160 gallons a day.
She's thirsty. Ooh, ain't she pretty? 40 foot of bean cutting madness right there. All aluminum GTS 40 foot draper.
Run into a problem. This head's about 1,500 pounds more than what my head is according to the specs, and my combine does not want to pick it up real well. It'll only raise the feeder up about halfway before it just doesn't have any more. It's enough to get the header on and off the trailer. I called the mechanic, and apparently my combine's got the smaller lift cylinders on. Bigger lift cylinders would carry it, but of course I'm not going to go that trouble just to try a head out. But we've already got it off the trailer. We're in a nice big field. Don't have to pick the head up high anyway in this field. So we're going to try it in this field and at least see how we'd like the header. Well, we are cutting. When we picked this thing up off the header trailer, I was like, oh my, I don't know if this is going to work, because my combine would just barely pick it up off the supports on the header trailer. So my first impression of the header is that this thing is a lot heavier than the one I'm using, even though it's only 5 foot wider. Looked up the specs, I think it's about 1,500 pounds heavier, and it really surprised me because just like the corn header I demoed, this thing is all aluminum frame. So you would think it would be a whole lot lighter. But instead of having a lot of hydraulic drive, like what my other header does, this one has transmissions and is all...
Hey Bradley, I put the keys to your truck in the driver's seat.
This thing is all mechanical drive, so it's got gearboxes and drive shafts and everything else that I guess really adds quite a bit of weight to it. But anyway, we're in a nice big flat field. not a lot of obstacles or whatever. Even though my combine will only pick the header up about halfway off the ground, I decided we're going to go ahead and give it a try. Overall, we've only run this thing over about 20 acres so far, but my first impressions of it are it's a good head. I like it. Other than the weight, it's performing good. I believe it's feeding quite a bit smoother than what my Max 9 is. The cutter bar definitely has a lot more flexibility than what mine does, going over terraces or washouts or just the contour of the land. It follows the contours a whole lot better than what mine does. Of course, my header, what it really is it's 3 rigid sections, and the wings can float up or down. Whereas this header, it's rigid all the way across, but the cutter bar is like on a standard auger head, and it can flex all the way across the cutter bar. So it follows smaller dips and contours a whole lot better than what mine does. Some things I don't like about it, and I don't really think it's a problem with the header. I think it's a problem with the way that the header is set up and adjusted. Is the height control is way too sensitive. I got my header height sensitivity set all the way down, and still going across the ground, it's kind of it's hunting back and forth, which is kind of it's kind of annoying. Again, I don't think that's a problem with the header. I think that the way it's set up, they have the springs under the bottom set way too tight. I think probably need to adjust it and put more weight on the cutter bar, and that would probably solve that issue. Something else I don't like is the reel lift. I think they need some orifices in the hydraulic lines, because I mean, you just touch the button and the reel is going up way too fast. But the reel itself, it doesn't have an orbital reel like what mine does, which I'm not really sure what the purpose of the orbital reel is. I really haven't seen that it improves the feeding anymore. But the reel's doing a good job. Not seeing a lot of shatter off the reel. Although whoever tried out this header before I did, they let the reel down too far and clipped the ends off of all the fingers, so the fingers are a little bit shorter than what they should be. With this head, I believe we're putting more crop through the combine just because the feeding is better on it. And I'm not sure if it's just a design flaw on my head, or maybe it's just old and some things are not adjusted quite the way they should. Something's out of whack. But it's definitely feeding a lot smoother and better, and that will allow your combine to be a lot more efficient if you're feeding in a nice, smooth, consistent crop. My other header in these same beans last night, we were putting about 1,000 bushels an hour through the combine, and right now we're running about 1,150 to 1,200 bushels an hour through the combine, running about the same power level and the same loss rates. You see that terrace right there? I mean, it shaved it all the way across, and for something 40 foot wide going across the terrace at an angle, that just shows you how good the flexibility is on it. Well, this farm is now done with. 2 more farms to go. About 230 acres total left. Well, one thing I found out with this header, my unloading auger is not really long enough for a 40-foot head. I can make it work, but I can't quite reach the center of the grain cart. So it's loading heavily to one side and can't fill it up all the way. Especially unloading on the go. I can do pretty good whenever we're unloading still, but unloading on the go, I certainly can't reach the center of the cart. See, it's about 2.5 foot wider on each side than my other head. Let's see how well my old ton truck likes hauling that old heavy thing around. I know this trailer does not have 4-wheel steer, which I don't like. We sure do like that 4-wheel steer on our trailer. It makes getting in and out of some of our fields a whole lot easier.
are on our last 2 farms. This one is 55 acres and the one on the other side of the trees is 180. So we're getting close to being done. Close. Now I'm gonna play the game of follow the combine because there's no way he's gonna make it all the way around this field without having a dump. So, hey, follow, follow, follow. Name of the game. See, I'm glad I followed him. There's no way he would have made it all the way back.
Well, I got a little bit more time on this head, and so far I'm really liking it. We got moved over to our next farm, got 56 acres, and this ground's a lot more hilly, a lot more rolling, so we've gotten a chance to test out the flexibility of the cutter bar. You think, 40 foot wide, it's probably not going to follow the contours of the ground real well at all, but when we got over here and made first pass around the inroads, it shocked me on how well this cutter bar follows the terrain. If you're going slow enough and giving the header enough time to react, it is really impressive. It's really hugging the ground. Especially when you go over any kind of terraces or washes or uneven spots, it's really hugging the ground good. That's definitely one big advantage over the MacDon I'm running now. The MacDon just doesn't have the flexibility that this one does. However, the height sensing it's still making for a rough ride out here because it's constantly hunting up and down. Like I said earlier, I think it's just probably needs some adjustment in the springs to even that out. One design feature I do not like are the dividers on each side, the snouts. They are so short. They're really only sticking out this much from the header. And when you're going around the edge of the field, it's really kind of hard to gauge exactly where the edge of the header is. Either making sure you're not leaving a little bit of crop out there, or making sure it's not too far outside the field and might hang, some kind of obstacle out there. So, the MacDon we got, it's got about the same length divider, but it's got a nice curved rod that goes out and up on each end, and it makes for a really good visual reference there. One thing I didn't mention earlier is the knife design on this one is different. All the knives I've ever seen on any kind of head are just the knives are all the same orientation, just laying flat across. On this one, every other knife is flipped over, either upside down or right side up. Supposedly it gives it a little bit more of a scissor action cut, and so far it's doing a great job cutting, especially here in this field. We got a thicker stand of cover crop over here, and it looks like it's a little bit farther, or quite a bit farther along than some of the other farms we've harvested. So we're cutting a good bit of green material off as we're cutting the beans, which green material and sickle knives just do not go well together. But this knife is mowing right on through it without any problems. It's almost like it's not even there.
I'm just so ready to be done. I'm overexhausted, beat up, worn out. There's not enough time in the day to get everything that I need to do done, on top of working full time. So tired. Usually around now we're done, but we're not done. And Cotton is so physical, did a number on me, and we just have had no time to relax and catch up on sleep and catch up on everything. Laundry, cleaning the house, paying bills, running errands. I get up at 6:30 every morning, and by the time I'm supposed to come out here, I feel like I haven't done anything. And by the time I get home, I was too tired to do anything. I think the last 3 nights I've gone home and haven't eaten any dinner. I've just literally passed out and went to sleep. I want like 2 days of nothing, where you can just sit on the couch and watch like mindless TV. I'm so tired. I don't think I'm tired. I'm exhausted.
One other pretty good advantage with this head is the visibility of the head and the drapers is a little bit better than the MacDon. I can see more of the belts themselves than I can on the MacDon, and the big reason is that MacDon has an adapter faceplate right there that really takes up a lot of room in the center of your frame, and this one does not have that on there. So I think that's the biggest reason for having a visibility advantage with this head.
So Matt's demoing this header that's 40 foot wide, and the problem is the auger's not long enough because our combine's not big enough. So we're running into issues where I get the tire literally right up against it. It's not making this any easier. Thing's huge. Ha! 2 in a row! And left-handed. Look at this guy. Trying to get the best shot. Is it gonna stay up there? We shall see.
We made it to nighttime again. Had another beautiful sunset. Let me give you some drone footage of it right here. Well, I don't think we have much of a breeze blowing tonight, not like we did the last couple of nights. So we might have a chance for some dew to fall. So we'll see how this thing performs after it starts getting wet, because that's one place that MacDon really excels at, the way the skid shoes are designed and the tilt's designed. You can pick the guards, the knife guards up out of the residue, cut a little higher, and roll on even when it gets too wet for other heads to cut. So we'll see how well this one does. But this one does have some nice features. Got some nice lights out there, some stubble lights, and also lights shining on the belt on each side. You get a header this wide, the lights from the combine really don't reach out there to the end, so those lights should help me see if it's pushing up any piles out there on the end. Well, it's starting to get a little damp out here, and this head is not performing as well as that MacDon. It does have a tilt feature, but because of the way the shoes are designed on the bottom, it really doesn't pick the knife up out of the residue. And when you got double crop beans with a lot of old wheat residue down there standing, once it gets damp, it really starts pushing up piles. So had Zach go back to the other farm and grab my header, and since he gets over here with a header, I'm going to put it back on, see if I can run a little bit longer tonight before we shut off, and probably put this header back on tomorrow morning whenever it dries up. Alright, Zach went and got my header. It's definitely gotten damp outside. Seems like it's the first dew we've had in a week or two. But we're gonna see if we can get a few more acres through on this one today. Alright, we're back with Old Faithful again. I know my axles are thanking me. Feels like I don't even have anything on the front end with this thing on. Nice to be able to pick my header all the way up. It might not feed as smooth, might not have all the fancy lights on it, but one thing it can do is run when it gets wet outside. And to me, that is a huge deciding factor, because we grow a lot of double crop beans with a lot of, and then we have to harvest when the days are real short. So any header that gives me an additional hour or 2 hours of run time in the evening is crucial for us. Well, we're still going, but I think it's about time to call it a night. I think it's about close to 10 o'clock and it has really gotten wet out there. The soybeans sound like rocks going through the combine. But we were able to harvest another 25 acres after we swapped heads out, so that's 25 more acres we don't have to do tomorrow, and 25 acres closer to being done. Now that should leave us with about 150 acres to do tomorrow to get harvest wrapped up. It's going to be tough to do, but if we get an early start and don't have any problems, I think it's doable, because everything that's left is all right here on this farm. We don't have to move or anything like that. Got some nice big fields. Ought to be able to roll on along pretty good. Well guys, time to go home. We're going to call it a day. The final total for today is 127 acres. We had a really good day, especially considering we got a little bit of a late start because of that demo head. Had to get it set up on the combine. So that leaves us with 145 acres tomorrow to wrap things up. Can we get it done? I don't know. We sure going to try. We kind of have to get it done because the National Weather Service has increased rain chances for Sunday. For Sunday, the day after tomorrow, and then we got like a 50% chance of rain on Tuesday following that. So it looks like we might start getting into some typical fall weather where you got 1 or 2 dry days and then 1 or 2 wet days. So really don't want to get caught in that cycle, so we're going to give it a real hard push tomorrow, and hopefully if everything holds together, if we don't have any problems, we'll get it wrapped up. Appreciate y'all watching, ride along with me. Stay tuned and we'll see you in the next video. Oh my gosh, it stinks out here. I must have run a skunk through the combine or something. Ooh, it's stout.